In an interview with Gameinformer, Guerrilla Games shared info on what might be coming with updates and what they want for a potential sequel. Let me know what you think of the news in the comments down below, and don't forget to hit that like button. I bought the Gameinformer May issue of 2017 because there is a pretty interesting interview in there with a few of the key developers of Horizon Zero Dawn. So let's get to the Horizon Zero Dawn 2 talk first, right? We know the Guerrilla Games is working on a quote expansion to the story, so probably DLC. No new game is announced yet, although I think it's a safe bet since Horizon Zero Dawn is super successful and the ending of course also teased a continuation. Anyway, the questions here are phrased like quote, if a sequel happens, end quote. Still though, the answers that the developers from Guerrilla Games share are really interesting, since those are things that we will probably see. Quote, if a sequel happens, what's the #1 thing you would hope to change or expand on, end quote. Asked Jeff from Gameinformer. Jan Bart Verbeek, the art director of the game and the one that came up with the idea of Horizon Zero Dawn, answers the following, quote, more machines, they are a lot of fun to design, build, animate and play with. I wish we could have done 100, but reality is a harsh mistress. It doesn't allow you to create hundreds of machines, end quote. This is in line with the video I made about Guerrilla Games looking for a senior creature animator, but the fact that new machines are the #1 thing the art director wants to expand on makes me really happy, since the machines are my favorite part of the game. One question in the Gameinformer interview is about the story and how the game answers a lot of the questions we had at the beginning of the game, like what happened to the ancient world, what is the purpose of the robots, and you learn the secrets of Aloy as well. Jeff from Gameinformer asks if quote, were you afraid of hamstring potential future narratives by revealing too much, end quote. So that they maybe thought of holding something back for a potential sequel, since all the big mysteries right now are kinda solved. John Gonzalez, the narrative director of Horizon Zero Dawn, answered the following, quote, we didn't want to play it safe and hold things back for some sequel that might never come, end quote. He continues that because they revealed too much, they've made their jobs as writers more challenging, but he thinks that a challenge is good, and I of course agree. His answer for what he wants as his #1 thing for the potential sequel mirrors this, quote, we've been absolutely humbled by players' response to the story and their emotional connection to Aloy. Should a sequel happen, our #1 goal would be to respect that connection by doing our utmost to create a story that resonates just as deeply. He also mentions that the last thing he wants to do is disappoint the folks who have given the game such passionate support, so you and me. He's setting a very high bar, but it will of course be for the best. So a just as deep story as in the first one for the potential sequel, bring it on. The game director Matthijs de Jonge, of course I can't make a video without mentioning him, doesn't answer the #1 thing he wants for a potential sequel, so still curious what that might be, but he does answer some interesting questions regarding some of the criticisms of the game. Jeff from Gameinformer notes that the clearing of bandit camps and following detective mode style trails are quote, too derivative of other open world games, end quote. Simply put, a little bit copied, so simply not as interesting. But as the Jonge answers, quote, it has been a big project for us and I'm really happy how it all came together, end quote. He continues, quote, some parts that doesn't shine quite as bright as the others is something that was quite inevitable due to the scope. We are looking closely at any criticisms as part of plotting out our plans for the future of Horizon, end quote. So we might see some more varied missions, that we don't really have to use the detective mode all the time, and that the clearing of bandit camps in DLC or maybe the next game will be more interesting. Something that we might see earlier though is regarding the weapon wheel. Jeff from Gameinformer asks why they limited the player ability to quickly swap between the 8 types of weapons. As you know, you can only carry 4 of the 8 weapons at a time. Matthijs de Jonge replied with the following, quote, at some point we had more weapons on the wheel, but the controls got in the way with how quickly we wanted the switching process to be. It just got too finicky. We have some ideas on how to improve the weapon-loadout switching, but I can't share anything on this yet, end quote. I wouldn't be surprised if this was something that they will update in a new patch. If we know more, I will of course let you know, so be sure to subscribe for everything Horizon Zero Dawn. By the way, I will listen to the feedback you guys have on the content, and I heard it loud and clear that you want more news focused videos regarding the DLC and the sequel for Horizon Zero Dawn. I mean, I love to speculate, but I can understand that when you see a new video about the DLC or sequel pop up, that you think there is something that is news, so that something is announced, and then you find out that I'm just speculating. So I will do a better job with that, so hopefully this video was more something that you wanted. So like the video if you did, let me know in the comments what you think of this interview, what you think of the answers, pretty interesting. Again, this is from the May 2017 issue of Gameinformer, so be sure to give that a read if you want to. Thanks a lot for watching, I will speak to you next time, goodbye.